everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Shay. I am a full-time reseller on the Poshmark app, and I also am doing lots of DIY and sewing projects, so if you like either of those things, don't forget to subscribe. Today is going to be part 2 of my series that I have started of trying to make a more sustainable wardrobe for myself. I'm trying to use thrifted items as well as kind of thrift flip stuff. The first thing I made was actually this skirt, which is made out of a curtain, and I this week have decided to make a matching top for it. I did use a simplicity pattern, and this pattern is the 5849, and I made this variation except I used buttons on the front instead of the lace-up detail. And I made the top and the bottom out of a skirt that I had thrifted. The only thing that's not thrifted on this is the buttons, which I had a really hard time finding thrifted buttons considering all of what's going on in the world right now. So I did get these buttons at Walmart, but they are the only thing that's not thrifted on this piece. So here is the front and here is the back. I did do a little variation where I crisscrossed the back as well. It does have regular straps. However, when I made this pattern, I accidentally, I think I'm kind of in between measurements between small and the extra small. So I made the small thinking that that would be safer, and it ended up being almost a whole size too big for me. So this one kind of fits a little bit weird. I did take in the back here, I took in about 1 inch, as well as crisscrossing the straps to give it a little bit more of a shape because it was gappy around my underarm area, and it kind of could have used a smaller size, I think, and I am going to make this pattern again in a smaller size. My next goal is to be making a dress using this as the bodice, and then I have another thrifted skirt that I'm going to be cloning and then using that as the bottom, hopefully. So if you want to see that, don't forget to subscribe. Like I said, I am going to be uploading more of these kind of videos in the near future. But overall, I think that this came out really good. I did have enough fabric to do the top. I did line it with a plain cotton on the inside, which also was thrifted, so the whole thing is in pretty good shape. The only thing that I will say is, like I said, that the fit was just a little bit weird for me, and I did have to take it in a couple of places. So, but I'm gonna walk you through that in the next part of the video. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I will see you soon. Okay, so I have cut out all of my pieces. So I have my liner layers, and then I have my actual front pieces as well as the strap. So I am going to briefly take a look over my pattern here I'm going to briefly take a look over my pattern here just to skim the directions and make sure I get the general idea. I'm pretty good at figuring out what pieces need to go where without too much instruction. I have a decent amount of knowledge of how patterns go together just because I do a lot of knitting and sewing, so it's the same kind of thing. You're kind of like creating that shape with the yarn. So I'm just going to skim over this and make sure that I am doing everything right. And I will note that this pattern does call for a layer of interfacing. I am not using the interfacing. I just don't want to be bothered with it, and I don't have any hanging around, and I'm trying to be more sustainable with my choices as far as sewing, so I'm just not using interfacing. I think it'll be fine. I am using a pretty stiff cotton as my second layer, and this fabric is thicker, so it should hold its shape with no problem. So I will get back to you guys in a moment here with my progress and let you know how it's going. That's both sides of the front of the bust. I have already done the whole thing as far as the lining goes and figured it out. Ignore my ugly seams. I'm going to be pressing those down and fixing that in a minute. And I did do an inside out one, but honestly it doesn't really matter because those are just notation marks. I believe they're for where the, I think they're for where the strap goes. So, but nonetheless, and this one ended up a little bit big on me, which is going to be perfect because I'm about this much too big, which means that this is going to be a good amount of space for my front placket for the buttons. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these on the sewing machine, and then I'll come back to you guys to show you how to do that. Okay, so that's what they look like when they are sewed together. And so I'm going to be pressing these seams down as well so that this all sits nicely, and you're not going to be able to see it anyway when you put the piece together because it's going to be double layered, but I'm going to do it anyway because that's what the pattern tells me to do. But next I'm actually going to attach my side and back piece, so that's going to be this middle section here and these two edge pieces. My middle section on my striped fabric, I do need to run a stitch across real quick. There's going to be an extra seam just because I didn't have enough fabric to do it on the fold. So, but that's okay. I'm just going to run a seam across that, and then I'm going to put these pieces together, and I will be back in a minute to show you what that finished piece looks like. Okay, so I have finished sewing all the pieces to themselves here. And now I have also fixed the straps. I measure them to be the right length for my body, hopefully. And what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be sewing the lining to the actual top piece. So, oh, you know what? Just kidding. I didn't iron yet. I'm going to iron, and then I'll come right back to you guys and I'll show you how I'm going to piece this together. So, 1 second. So, all my seams have been pressed. I'm really having a hard time getting that to lay flat, but that's okay. I will iron it again after the fact. Maybe I'll even steam it. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to show you how to attach your liner to your regular top here, your top part of your liner to your actual fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting my strap here, and I'm going to be putting it in between the lines, or in between the liner and the regular fabric. So what is going to happen is it's going to look like this, and I'm going to be pinning along the whole top all the way down, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side when I get to the spot where my strap goes. And that is going to hide the strap itself so that you don't see any sort of, you don't see anything when you wear the top. It doesn't show on the inside. So it's just a nice finishing for the actual, I keep saying sleeve, but it's a strap, so ignore that I've said sleeve maybe like 3 times. So when you flip it inside out, what's going to happen is the liner is going to be on the inside and your strap is going to be the right side out, and it's all going to be attached. So I'm going to go ahead and do all this. I'm probably going to speed you up. I'm going to try to make my little seams match here, and I will be back with you in a second. So that's what we are working with. This is what it looks like when you have it all pinned together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run a stitch across the whole thing. That's going to secure our 2 layers together, and then I'm going to flip it inside out, and then we're going to go from there. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I flipped it inside out, and now I'm just waiting for the iron to heat up again because we now need to press these seams so that they are nice and flush. And it gives us a nice little neckline. That has closed in the armhole for us, which is great. I did do a boo-boo though. I forgot to connect my other side inside the actual seam. So, but that's okay. I actually am going to make a design change. I decided I am going to take and add buttonholes, and then I'm going to sew some buttons onto the back so that I can make this crisscross, or I can just button it regular. So that's just a design extra. I just decided to do that. I didn't do a very good job at this. This little piece here is bugging me. Anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and iron all the way along both sides here. And then I will show you, I think what our last step is going to be putting in a button situation on the front. So I will work with that very shortly. I think I'm probably going to do it basically the same as I did in my other video where I added a buttonhole section. I just need to try it on and measure how much fabric in the front I have, because I want to make sure the buttons are sitting right. Okay, so I went and tried it on, and I have pinned where I want my fold over to be so that I can attach the buttons. So what's going to happen is this piece is going to fold over this piece. Other than that, it fits pretty good. I am going to have to adjust the straps slightly to get them to crisscross, but no big deal. That's easy to do. So right now I'm going to fix this little facing, and then I'm going to create that buttonhole placket and the buttonholes. And sometime in between there, I'm going to hem the bottom so that it is not a raw hem. And after that, everything will be pretty much done. I'll have to sew the buttons onto the straps, and then hopefully I will show you guys the finished product. I probably will insert a little bit of me doing the buttonhole stuff, just so you guys have an idea of what I'm doing. And if you want a little bit more of that, I do show you guys a little bit more of that in last week's video, and I will link a couple of videos on how to do buttonholes and that kind of stuff in more detail. There are a couple of really good ones on YouTube that I like to share when people ask me. So I will link those down below, and I will see you guys in a few minutes. Alright guys, it is all finished for you. I am going to insert some clips right now of what it looks like while it's finished. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I found this pattern pretty easy to work with. It was pretty straightforward, except for the buttonholes, but that was a design choice on my part. It would be much easier if you inserted the little eyelets that lace up if that's what you wanted to do. But anyway, I am very pleased with how it came out, and now I have a two-piece set made out of a curtain, which is really cool. And I can wear it. So if you guys are not already subscribed, don't forget to go ahead and do that. Also, like if you like the video, so I know to make more of these kind of videos. I will see you in part 3 of the series. Bye!